We asked multiple members of Congress to speak with us about issues critical to our understanding of this attack on the 2020 election and our system of constitutional democracy. None agreed to provide that essential information.
After months of avoiding those January 6th committee requests, 4 of those lawmakers have now been referred to the House Ethics Committee for refusing to comply with subpoenas. They include House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, as well as Congressmen Andy Biggs, Scott Perry, and Jim Jordan. Here to discuss what comes next, Denver Riggleman, a former advisor to the January 6th committee and former Virginia Republican congressman. He is now a New York Times bestselling author of the new book, The Breach, the untold story of the investigation into January 6th. So, Denver, you're the perfect person to talk to. You've now seen the committee's conclusions. You were there at the beginning. What was missed?
I don't know what's missed yet. I haven't seen the report. I've been on TV a little bit today. It's been a day. But I think what I'd like to see, I'll say this. You really can't fault the committee for how hard and how well they went after Donald Trump as far as his culpability on that day. But I do think, that's sort of a gold team thing. And I know, Stephanie, you probably know about the separate investigative teams. But I think the red, green, purple, and blue teams, what they've uncovered with their data and a lot that our technical teams helped with, I think is more important for the future of stopping January 6th, the type of January 6th events that could happen sometime that in the future that we can't tell yet. And I think that's what I'm looking at, because not only do we have those thousands of interviews, tens of thousands of pages of documents, but we have millions of lines of data, call records and text, and I was fortunate enough to see those first in many instances. So, my thing looking at this is that how about online digital radicalization, follow the money? How about, what happened that day? Law enforcement breakdowns and national security breakdowns, but also foreign influence, right? All those things were actually also investigated by the committee. So I'm very interested to see if that's in the report or not.
Follow the money. Trump's already raised $250 million for himself off these bogus claims of voter fraud. Is anything going to change after this?
No. And there's so much more than that. I mean, if you look at the money that's made well after January 6th, look at the individual candidates, Stephanie. I mean, they've made millions of dollars off this type of hyperbole and outrage, and actually, just complete fantasy. And I've said it so many times, and Stephanie, I almost get tired of hearing my own, damn words about this, but it does seem like, and I've said it so many times, it does seem like these individuals that think Lord of the Rings is a documentary is really the individuals that are voting for these kind of sort of off-kilter fantasy-based candidates or these facts challenge candidates. And I don't know how to stop that right now. I think when I was listening to your panel beforehand, and I heard Tim say no also, is how do we stop sort of this confluence of social media and money and this online radicalization? And what do we do about that? And I think that's the real issue that we have, is stopping this crazy that's metastasized throughout certain parts of the GOP. And in first reading those texts and the fact that these conspiracy theories had saturated every level of the GOP, that is just not going away.
All right, well, let's talk about these ethics violations. In theory, they sound like a big deal, but in just a few weeks, the House Ethics Committee is going to have a GOP chair, right? Andy Biggs and Kevin McCarthy both want to be Speaker of the House. So do you think anything is going to come of this? I can't imagine Jim Jordan is actually afraid of an ethics violation. He probably likes it.
He's not afraid at all. They'll fundraise off of it. Steph, you were just talking about that. If I was still say I was a crazy, conspiracy believer right now, and I have my consultants next to me, and here's what they're going to say. They're like, Denver, hey, they referred you for an ethics violation. We can fundraise off on this, and how the deep state and the Democrats are coming after you. And that's the hyperbole and outrage that a good fundraiser, consultant is going to make that badness into some kind of crazy conspiracy against you. And it's a great way to raise money. I mean, just ask Marjorie Taylor Greene.
God bless whoever wants to write a check. Then what do you think the DOJ is going to do next here?
I think the DOJ, you know, the one thing that bothered me about all this, Stephanie, is that there wasn't data sharing between the Congressional Committee and the DOJ well before now. I don't know how much has been shared, but I think the DOJ is all over this. Remember, they have authorities that Congress doesn't have. For instance, you know, when we collect phone records, we only get to, from, and the type of medium that you communicate in. So, Stephanie, me and you are sending SMSs or MMSs, or we're doing phone calls using VoIP. We can see that on to, from phone calls. We can see time of duration, how long the phone rang almost, you know, that kind of stuff. Boy, DOJ gets a lot more, right? They get geolocation, they get tower data. My guess is if they're collecting all these phone records, they have a lot more than the Congressional Committee can get. And, you know, we had tens of millions of lines of data. So I'm really interested to see, you know, how far they can go. But I think the DOJ is all over this, especially, I think, on seditious conspiracy, but also in the command and control elements that day.
There was not real-time data sharing. The committee wanted credit. Well, they got their credit today. Now it's time for the data. Denver Riggleman, thank you for staying up late and joining us.